Yeah, g'day viewers. You've probably come here to learn about how to assemble these trusses. These are actually wall trusses supplied with the owner builder kit from Widespan Homes. They're actually metal frames and they all need to be assembled. But there's a couple of basic things that they don't actually show you about the wall frame assembly because they're basically just a schematic. So I'll go over a few of the more important points that you'll need to be aware of when you're actually start assembling these, because if you get it wrong you can find that the wall frames are out of square, it'll lean to one side, there'll be gaps, and also you want to make sure that your orientation of your wall frames and the parts that go into the wall frames, the actual studs and top plates and bottom plates and the center plate and all your studs and noggins are all around the right way and orientated the correct way, and that you've got the correct part number, because they are labelled, in the correct location. So first up I want to stress to you that you want to make sure that the whole rectangle wall frame at the end of the day is what we'd call square, even though it's a rectangle. Square meaning that in the corners they are a perfect 90 degrees, and as you can see here I've put a builder square onto my corner, and you can see that that builder square, being a 90 degree square section, shows that my actual wall frame is square. And if you move that around to any of the corners, that builder square, it'll show that it is square. Because what I've actually done is I've created a bit of a jig out of timber, and I just squared it up, the jig up with the builder square, so that means I start on an even square surface to start with. Now the other thing is that I've got it on a reasonably level concrete surface that I'm working on, as best as I can get, and you want to be aware that you'll also need some personal protective equipment and a few tools to assemble these trusses. Now the other thing they point out is that you'll need some of these screws, and these screws you'll see here are from the instructions. They're 16 millimeters long and X amount diameter, and they've got a Phillips head to them. And as you can see, I've put a couple in there, and I've actually used an impact driver, cordless impact driver. So I'll let you know it's a Ryobi one that I've got, but there are other brands out there, but they're available from Bunnings and places like that. Now the other thing that they don't really point out to you in the illustration is that all these holes, you'll notice that these holes are all aligned right through, so they're all in a straight line. If you had, say, that one round the other way, the holes would be up here. So you want to make sure that they're all aligned the correct way. These would allow for plumbing and electrical to run through the wall frames. So that's their main purpose, and they'll end up having like a grommet that's supplied to go in through the holes so they don't get cut. Now you'll notice what I've done here is I've been starting my frames at the bottom plate. So they're all labelled. You'll see it's got actually B on that bottom plate for bottom. So it's BD1, bottom plate 1, and this you'll see is truss N24 that I'm building at the current stage. So you'll see there N24, and I've been working, I find it's best to lay out your parts, identify all the parts off the illustration, because there is a parts list in the top right hand corner. So identify all your parts, lay them out, check that they're all there, and then I start with the bottom plate. I identify the bottom plate, I sit that down there, and then I work from, then I get my top plate. So I go up and find my top plate, and you'll see that that's actually got top plate 2 written on it. So that's where I work from. Once I've got that done, I work from left to right. So I work from left to right, lay out all the other parts, and then I make sure they're all square, they're all in alignment, and then from that I then do a pre-assembly on it. Just loosely fit all the parts together. You'll find for that a rubber mallet is handy. So I just take a rubber mallet, just tap them all into place, and then once you're sure that they're all square, all aligned, you can actually get your drill driver, impact driver, and just, I work my way around from the bottom to the center to the top, and then drive all those screws in with the impact driver. Now you want to make sure you get them all the way in, because you got to remember you're putting gyprock on top of these wall frames, so you don't want any of these sitting proud. That means above the flush point there. You want them just sitting nice and flush, so you haven't got any bumps when you put your gyprock on. And if you follow pretty much those points, you'll find that you'll have a wall frame that is true and square and plumb. And I'll explain what plumb and square and everything is in the comments. And I'll also show you a what we call a 3, 4, 5 square calculation that you can check. So it's basically your bottom plate length by your top plate length, and there'll be a calculation that'll give you your diagonal from one corner to the opposing corner. And if you got that calculation right, that'll give you a calculation of your diagonal, and you'll know if it's square for these rectangle wall frames that we're building. So I hope that explains it a little bit better than just going off an illustration that's just a drawing with some part numbers, and it should be a lot more clearer, and with some key points that you need to know before you get too far along, because otherwise you've got to pull them all apart again, and you want to do it once and you want to do it right. So thank you for watching, and I hope that explains the wide span wall frame truss building procedure a little bit clearer than just having an illustration on a page. Thank you.